And a good Saturday afternoon to you and yours. Welcome to the friendly confines of Sunken Diamond for Stanford baseball this afternoon. The Cardinal hosting the Creighton Blue Jays in non-conference action. It's great to have you with us. Troy Clarity and Brian Brownfield taking you through this one. Stanford at 9-9 on the season. Had a chance to take the series against USC last week, Brian. Split the first two games. They had the lead in the third game, but unfortunately, Stanford literally threw it away. Crucial throwing errors, some walks, some hit batters late in the game allowed USC to overtake the Cardinal and to end up taking the series. Not necessarily the best way for Stanford to be heading into this series against a Creighton squad that has put up boffo numbers in the batter's box.
It's definitely not encouraging, Troy, but I think that's what makes this weekend series, the wraparound series, such an exciting one. You have a Creighton offense that's been putting up otherworldly numbers, it seems, but maybe not against the best of competition. And meanwhile, on the other side, Stanford, a rough way to end the series against USC, but they've still been playing better as of late to get the record over 500 heading into that series. And they've been led by their pitching staff that's had an ERA of about 3.5 over the last couple weeks or so against some pretty solid competition. So I think that's what makes this such an intriguing series. You have a hot pitching staff, a hot offense, and something's got to give.
Yeah, it's been rough a little bit for Stanford, at least the way they finished that USC series. But the Cardinal have still won 8 of their last 12. Creighton has won 15 of their first 18 on the season as they are 15-3. Coming out of the Big East and here on the West Coast for action against the Cardinal. Let's get you the batting order first for the Creighton Blue Jays. Blue Jays is one word, not two, and only the B is capitalized, by the way. Tate Gillen leading off for Creighton. Teddy Dieters in the 2 spot. Nolan Sailors batting third. It's Colby Canales, the designated hitter. He's batting cleanup. Will McLean batting 5th. Matt Sherman batting 6th. Hogan Helixo in the 7th spot. Ben North batting 8th. And Kyle Hess rounding out the Blue Jay batting order. Gillen, Sailors, McLean, and Hess are the 4 lefties in the Blue Jay batting order. Defensively for the Cardinals, Stanford about to take the field. The pump-up introductory video has just been played, and Stanford is taking the field. Their defensive alignment looks like this. In the outfield from left to right, Court McDonald, Ethan Hott, and Brady Reynolds. Around the horn, it's Timo Becerra at third, Trevor Haskins at short, Owen Cobb at second, Jimmy Nadai at first, Malcolm Moore behind the dish, and on the mound for the Stanford Cardinal is Matt Scott, the sophomore, 6'7", 247 pounds, out of Reading, Connecticut. Scott making his 6th appearance and start on the year, has a 2-3 record and a 3.72 ERA, 29 innings pitched, 19 hits, 13 runs, 12 of them earned, 43 strikeouts versus 11 walks, with opposing batters hitting just 190 off the big guy from the Nutmeg State.
And Scott is really starting to settle into this opening day role for the Cardinal. 3 consecutive quality starts, that's 6 innings or more, 3 earned runs or fewer. Yeah, he took the loss against USC, giving up 3 runs in 6 2/3, but prior to that, he'd only allowed 2 runs over his last 13 innings. Those were starts at Rice and at Washington. So you really like what you're seeing out of your Friday guy, or today, Saturday guy, in Matt Scott, and he's really been instrumental in turning this pitching staff around. It starts at the top. The Stanford bullpen still kind of finding its footing here as we get towards the middle point of the season, but the starting pitching has been spot on.
Yeah, Christian Lim has come on of late. We'll see him later in this series, but we've got Matt Scott on the mound for the Cardinal. On a pleasant afternoon, we've had some showers roll through here throughout the Bay Area throughout much of the day. It was spitting a little bit about 45 minutes or so before first pitch. It's going to be dry enough for us to get this one in. We should be okay, I believe, for the remainder of the weekend. 59 degrees. Winds about 11 miles an hour, could gust up to about 19 or so, but overall terrific playing conditions for the Cardinal versus the Blue Jays. Leading off for Creighton is Tate Gillen. Gillen, a sophomore from Overland Park, Kansas. Hope he's not a Jayhawks fan because Kansas not doing so well in men's basketball right now. Gillen slashing 354, 506, 492, that 506 on-base percentage, leading the Blue Jays. Tate with 1 home run and 19 RBI. Creighton 15-3, Stanford 9-9. Pac-12 versus the Big East. Scott Rotson deals fastball on the inside, misses for ball 1. Away we go. Cardinal, Blue Jays, enjoy the game. Scott can rear back and bring the heat. Touches 95 on that pitch, but also misses inside, 2-0. Scott, the Pac-12 pitcher of the week for the week ending March 11th. 12 strikeouts in 6 innings of work in a win at Rice on March 1st. Fastball again misses inside, 3-0. The hooting and the hollering from the Creighton Blue Jays dugout. Scott exhales and deals the 3-0. And walks Gillen on 4 pitches. So Tate Gillen aboard. And that brings up Teddy Dieters, a junior from Minnesota, transferred from Xavier. Dieters on the year, slashing 297, 439, 531 with 3 home runs and 19 driven in. Some gaudy numbers for the Creighton Blue Jays offensively. We'll get to those as we go. Scott from the stretch, the pitch. Upstairs, ball 1. Scott has yet to find the strike zone so far in the early going here. The Blue Jays coming into this game batting .321 as a team. An on-base percentage of .451 as a team. Slugging .534 as a team. A 1-0, shows bunt, pulls it back, and the first strike dealt by Scott.
So take this into consideration. When we evaluate players at the major league level, you're looking at an OPS. If your OPS is above 900, you're an elite level hitter. Creighton as a team, 985 OPS. That's insane.
Fly ball to right coming in is Reynolds, going back is Cobb, and Cobb makes the grab in shallow right for the first out of the game.
Well, and we're going to talk about it, I'm sure, as we go on, Troy, but yes, the numbers are impressive, but you also have to look at the quality of the opposition that Creighton has faced so far. And yes, 15-3, you can't take anything away from them. They are playing really good baseball. But, I mean, you hung up 24 runs, 22 runs on Coppin State early in the season. You've had UMass Lowell, you've had Portland, San Francisco, a couple of WCC teams. So the quality of play hasn't quite been on the same level that Stanford has seen.
Nolan Sailors cranks this one to deep center field. Hot, can't find it, stumbles, falls, and the ball drops in. Gillen being waved home. And Sailors into third safely. The Blue Jays strike first.
Ball was smoked out there to center field, but Ethan Hott, he was trying to play the wind also. As you could see, the flags out in center field are blowing to our left, to his right, and he tried to make a late adjustment and break to his right and just lost his footing. It's very slick out there because of some rain we've had here in the Bay, and once he went down, he just could not get up fast enough, and reading it well with Sailors all the way to third.
Brings up Colby Canales, the designated hitter for Creighton. Sends this one to right center field. And making the diving grab and hanging on. No, he didn't hang on to it. Sailors scores as Reynolds tried for the diving grab but couldn't quite corral it all the way down and complete the catch. And Creighton's ahead 2-0.
Reynolds was about as close to making that catch as you could ask for, and he had it for, it seemed like, 2 whole seconds. But as he finished his slide, the ball popped out of his glove, And our umpire out there at second base, Mike Lusky, saw it and made the right call. He did not hold on to it throughout the duration of the process of the catch. And, boy, the Blue Jays, I was talking about whether the Stanford pitching staff would have the upper hand, who would have the advantage in this one. Creighton, they're attacking early in the count against Matt Scott, and they're seeing some success.
Yeah, the Blue Jays off to a bruising start. Now Will McLean is the batter. McLean, a junior from Exeter, New Hampshire, transferred from UMass. Watch this one off speed on the outside corner, gets the strike called. Angel Campos, the home plate umpire. Daryl Mason at first, Mike Lusky, who just made the call, at second, and Jason Venzen, the third base umpire. One on, one out, two in. Fastball upstairs. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike on Will McLean. McLean slashing 292, 397, 369. 1 home run, 13 RBI. Swings ahead of this one, just fouls it off, and the count goes to 1-2. Creighton is at 23 home runs so far this season. Their bigger bats have been guys like Matt Sherman, who is in the on-deck circle. Tate Gillen, who we saw already, and Nolan Sailors. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Thought about it, didn't go for it. Count goes to 2-2. With Colby Canales at first. Didn't get a chance to tell you that he's a senior from Orange, California, transferred from Pacific. Shout out 209. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The pitch. Clapped back to Scott, throws to second for 1, throws to first in time for the double play. 1-6-3 on the putout as the Cardinal get 2, but the Blue Jays get 2 runs. Creighton 2 and Stanford coming to bat. Let's go through the Stanford batting order in the middle here of the first inning. Starts off with Court McDonald, followed by Ethan Hott, Malcolm Moore batting third, Jimmy Nadai in the cleanup spot. He's been terrific for much of the season. Designated hitter is Brandon Larson. He bats 5th. Brady Reynolds bats 6th. Timo Becerra in the 7th spot. Trevor Haskins bats 8th. And Owen Cobb rounding out the Cardinal batting order. Stanford batting 249 on the season entering today's game. Lefties are McDonald, Moore, Larson, and Reynolds. For Creighton, defensively, they begin with this alignment in the outfield from left to right. Nolan Sailors, Tate Gillen, and Teddy Dieters. Around the horn, it's Matt Sherman at third, Ben North at short, Kyle Hess at second, Will McLean at first, Hogan Helixo behind the dish. And on the mound for the Blue Jays is Dominic Cancelleri, a grad transfer originally from Wayne, New Jersey, transferred to Creighton from Notre Dame. Cancelleri has established himself as the Blue Jays' Friday starter this year, a 4-0 record, a 2.35 ERA. About to make his 6th appearance and start of the year with 23 innings pitched, 18 hits, 6 runs, all earned, 26 strikeouts versus 10 walks. Opposing batters hitting .209 against Cancelleri, who has thrown 4 wild pitches in those 23 innings of work. Cancelleri, the Big East Pitcher of the Year for the final week of February. So he already has some hardware for this season. ERA-wise, Creighton is a team, 4.51 with a whip of 1.54. That is 2nd and 3rd, respectively, in the Big East. But perhaps just as we put the caveat in there when we gave you Creighton's offensive numbers, perhaps we might need to give you that caveat with their pitching numbers as well. So we'll see what Stanford can do against this Blue Jay pitching staff. It begins with Court McDonald, the sophomore from Arlington, Texas, who watches a first pitch strike from Cancelleri. McDonald slashing 311, 400, 410. 2 home runs and 11 RBI. He goes opposite field here and drops it down for a leadoff single.
One thing that's going to be important for Stanford today is to really make Cancelleri pay on mistake pitches like that one right there. He doesn't have a lot of velocity. You're not going to see him push much past 90, but he has a lot of sink, a lot of horizontal run on his fastball. And so you take advantage of a pitch like that was up in the zone, and McDonald able to wait, sit back on it, and shoot that one the other way. Nice piece of hitting to get things started.
Brings up Ethan Hott. It's a curve that perhaps misses a bit down low for ball one. Hott slashing 286, 362, 405. No home runs and 3 driven in for the sophomore from Paradise Valley, Arizona. 1-0, the fastball pumped in there. The count evens out 1-1. Paradise Valley, Arizona. Where else is a young man with the last name of Hott going to hail from?
Death Valley.
Okay, that's a good candidate. The 1-1. On the ground and past the diving Ben North in the center field for a base hit. McDonald heading for third, and he's in. Back-to-back singles. Runners at the corners for the Cardinal.
So the pitches that the Card have taken advantage of early against Cancelleri have been off-speed pitches that have had center-cut real estate on the plate. That first one for McDonald was elevated. That one to Hott was about knee-high, but it was right down the middle of the plate in terms of left to right. And Stanford already with a couple of guys in scoring position, a great response. Now the question is, can they drive them in?
Malcolm Moore at the plate. Team leader in home runs with 5. Looks at the first pitch down low for ball one. Moore, the sophomore from Sacramento, the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year last season. Slashing 185, 341, 431. But with the 5 home runs, also tied for the team lead in RBI with 12. There's a prime chance to perhaps add to those numbers here as the count goes to 2-0 from Cancelleri. Of course, more attention paid to Moore, especially here in the early going as that one goes over. The count goes to 2-1. Moore could, let's face it, he had more folks around him in the batting order last year. That allowed him to shine a bit more. Fouled back to the screen, 2-2.
This is where you really get a test of what kind of hitter you are and how you grow into this role, because you know that teams now are going to focus in on the scouting reports. They're going to attack your weak spots. So now you have to adapt and cover up those weak spots, turn them more into your strengths, if you will. And if you're able to do that, that's a sign of a mature hitter at the plate.
Yep.
And it takes some time. It's not going to happen overnight, and that's why maybe a bit of a slower start to the season for Malcolm Moore than he would prefer. But again, it's a very long season, and a lot of things can change.
The 2-2 pitch cranks that one off the fist, bouncing beyond the Stanford dugout. As Moore stays alive, count remains at 2-2. It's just part and parcel of growth as a player, going from freshman to sophomore, going from supporting role of sorts, even though he certainly had a starring role last year, to being one of the unquestioned stars of this squad. Up and out, 3-2. Moore, as mentioned, with the 5 home runs to lead the Stanford squad. Runners at the corners. Payoff pitch from Cancelleri. Fouled off. Went down and sent that one beyond the third base side stands. Beautiful scene here at Sunken Diamond as always. 335 down the lines, 375 to the alleys, 400 to straightaway center. Outfield fences, 8 feet high. The 3-2 pitch. Fastball popped straight up and now drifting and slicing into shallow left field. Saylor settles under it, makes the grab, and McDonald stays put at third. So that brings up Jimmy Nadai. Nadai, the sophomore from Sydney, Australia. Slashing 358, 456, 567, leading Stanford in all of those categories. Also the team leader in hits with 24, doubles with 9. Has hit one out of the park and has driven in 9 so far this season. And gives this one a ride to right field, but Dieters has a beat on it as he drifts and just makes the catch a step over into foul territory. But it goes far enough for McDonald to come across, and Stanford cuts Creighton's lead in half. It's 2-1.
Another one where the location wasn't great for Cancelleri, and Nat, I recognized that and decided I'm not going to wait around, goes after it, shoots it down the line. Certainly frustrated that it's an out, but happy he gets a run home, and that's a big way for Stanford to at least get one back, not letting Creighton seize all the momentum, get a little bit of it back tilting towards your side here in the first.
Brandon Larson, the DH, the sophomore from Rockland, California, looks at the first pitch fastball on the inside corner, called strike one. Larson, the transfer from UC San Diego. Yes, transfers can actually come into Stanford. No balls and 1 strike with 1 on and 2 out, and this one's cranked to center field, and it dies in front of Tate Gillen for a base hit. Hot, sliding into third, and once again the Cardinal have runners at the corners after Larson delivers the base hit, his 5th of the year.
When you're throwing 90 miles an hour like Cancelleri, you got to be able to hit the corners, and right now he's not, and Stanford's taking advantage. I mean, yes, there's a lot of movement on these pitches, but if you square them up, you can do some damage just like Larson did right there, and you keep the line moving. I mean, Cancelleri, he's not a big strikeout pitcher. He's going to pitch to contact, so you're going to have balls put in play, especially when it's a Stanford lineup that doesn't strike out a ton to begin with.
First pitch to Brady Reynolds. Is popped foul, landing out of play as it slices towards the outer concourse behind us here at Sunken Diamond. Reynolds, a freshman from Bakersfield, had a 7-game hit streak earlier this month. Overall, Reynolds on the year slashing .302, .415, and .442 with 1 home run and 7 RBI. Cancelleri misses high with that off-speeder. Count goes to 1-1. Cancelleri's last start and outing came against the USF Dons as they made the trip out to Omaha last weekend. Blue Jays took 2 of 3. High strike called by Angel Campos. The count goes to 1-2. Cancelleri against the Dons, 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 3 walks and 8 strikeouts, and got the win against USF.
His 4th win in 5 starts.
A 1-2 from Cancelleri, blocked, and now trying to figure out what he wants to do, and heading into second, and they just finally let Brandon Larson take second and make sure, if anything, that Hot stays put at third.
And goes in with a dive, too.
Finished with a flourish.
Yeah, you know. He didn't play if he didn't get dirty. He wanted to get dirty in the first inning.
So the stolen base by Larson with 2 in scoring position now. The 2-2 pitch. Floats a curveball that is blocked for a moment. Helixo had to find it and went about 8 feet behind him to get it.
Yeah, if he didn't react as quickly as he did, I know it didn't go far, but if he didn't react like that, I got a feeling Ethan Hott's going to make his way towards the plate, and we're going to have a play there. So good recognition to locate it quickly, and a lot of trust in your backstop to throw a breaking ball in the dirt.
Tries the breaking ball again, and this time he gets it. Brady Reynolds swings and misses, and the side is retired. 1 inning in the book. Creighton leading Stanford 2-1. It's Pups in the Park Day here at Sunken Diamond. I've seen a couple pooches in the stands. Just heard one somewhere off in the distance. I believe if you brought your dog to Sunken Diamond today, you got a nice little dog bowl. So some swag to take away. It's the Birds versus the Trees on the scoreboard right now, with Creighton leading Stanford 2-1. Start of the second inning, and it begins with Matt Sherman, who's had a terrific season for the Blue Jays so far. Scott's first pitch is skied straight up. Coming down Trevor Haskins, and he makes the catch for the first out. Sherman, by the way, leading Creighton with a .362 batting average. That I'm sure still applies after that at bat. Hogan Helixo, a junior from Omaha, where Creighton is located, went to Elkhorn South High School. Standing in against Matt Scott. Fires a 94-mile-an-hour fastball down low for ball one. Helixo slashing .355, 500 and .419. No home runs and 8 RBI. A 1-0 from Scott. Showing bunt, pulling it back. Breaking ball goes over, and the count evens out. 1 ball and 1 strike. Helixo made the All-Big East second team last year. Actually led the Blue Jays with a .314 batting average. A 1-1. Fastball smacked, just a little bit rolling into fair territory, but Scott can't find the handle. E1. And Helixo is safe at first.
That had some English on it because when that left the bat of Helixo, it was a foul ball, and then it spun fair up the first baseline. You don't see that happen too often, and I guess Scott just couldn't pick it up with all that spin cleanly and maybe trying to rush it a little bit, knowing he's going to have a close play at the bag at first. So E1, and fortunately another runner on base for Creighton after Scott seemed like he was starting to settle in a little bit.
Ben North, the batter, takes the first pitch right down the middle for a called strike one. Yeah, that was a mighty cut by Helixo. Kind of a home run swing, but the ball only went about 40 feet. North, the sophomore from Woodbury, Minnesota, slashing .302, 443, 604. Bouncer right to Becerra. Throw to second for 1, throw to first. It's a 5-4-3 double play. 1.5 innings in the books. Creighton still ahead of Stanford 2-1. Creighton leading Stanford 2-1 as we head to the bottom of the second inning, and Creighton already is hit into 2 double plays so far this afternoon, both to end innings and give Stanford a chance to pick up a bat. Sun out at Sunken Diamond with puffy steam clouds hovering over the farm and blowing in from right. Got some rain overnight, showers throughout the morning into the early afternoon. We should stay on the dry side here this afternoon, so we should be okay.
I'm going to find some wood to knock on just to be safe.
Timo Becerra steps in, looks at a first pitch curve from Cancelleri that floats over for a called strike one. Becerra, a junior from Clovis, California. Bounces that one foul down the third base line. Becerra slashing .258, 324, 290. No home runs and 5 RBI. Down quickly, 0-2 here. Cancelleri working quickly. And so is Becerra, as he puts that one into right field for a base hit. Stanford already with 4 base hits this afternoon.
And a good job by Becerra of shortening up with 2 strikes right there. A lot of movement on these pitches from Cancelleri, so he just decides I'm going to shoot one the other way. It was about belt high on the outer half of the plate. That shorter approach with 2 strikes, just trying to get aboard and keep the train rolling.
The Trevor train, perhaps? Trevor Haskins coming to the plate, junior from San Jose. Fouls it back to the screen. 0-1. Haskins slashing .210, 296, 306. No home runs and 6 RBI. Has been hit by 4 pitches so far this year. Leads the team in strikeouts with 18. The 0-1. Sky to center field. Gillen barely has to move. 1 away. Here's Owen Cobb, the bottom of the Stanford batting order. Cobb, the grad student from Seattle, slashing .235, 297, 471 with 3 home runs and 12 RBI. Tied for the team lead in runs batted in. lead Stanford in at-bats with 68. Throw back over to first to keep Becerra in close. By the way, Becerra is now on a 6-game hit streak after his leadoff single here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Becerra's tried to swipe one base so far this year and was successful. That's in there from Cancelleri for strike 1. 5 consecutive first pitch strikes thrown by Cancelleri, who struck out 12 against Villanova last year. The 0-1. Curveball, Cobb just in front of it. On a couple hops, goes foul. Cobb down in the count, 0-2.
As a fellow guy who wasn't a strikeout pitcher and had a lot of movement on his fastball like Cancelleri, I would have been over the moon to strike out 12 in a game. That would have been the best feeling ever.
That's going in the Cancelleri Hall of Fame,
Oh,
right?
yes, 100%. He's going to be telling his kids about that one.
Kids, grandkids, neighbors, aunties, uncles.
Anyone who will listen.
Folks sitting next to him on a plane. Pitch up high, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Owen Cobb, who has gained momentum throughout the course of his Cardinal career. The 1-2. In front of that one, but it stays fair. Throw to second for 1, throw to first, not in time. So Becerra erased, Cobb still alive. Lineup turns over with Court McDonald coming back to the plate.
Troy, we were talking about this in between innings. You're certainly not going to double up Owen Cobb, but it's a weird statistical oddity so far in the season. Creighton has just turned 3 double plays, which is the fewest in the NCAA. Meanwhile, they've hit into 2 in this game. That's now 14 they've hit into on the season. Such a good defensive team, but they just haven't had a lot of opportunities to turn 2.
Court McDonald singled and scored in the first. Shows bunt, pulls it back. Cobb on the move, and the throw off target. So Cobb able to get into second. As Helixo's throw forced Ben North to dive and reach back. That's not a good combination if you're trying to get the runner out at second.
No, it's not. That's an incredibly athletic play by North over there at shortstop to keep that one from going into center field.
That being said.
And I pulled about 20 muscles in my body just watching that.
That pitch inside. Count goes to 2-0 on Court McDonald. You mentioned Creighton's defense. That's certainly something that they have taken a lot of pride in under their head coach, Ed Service, who is in his 21st year as the Creighton head coach. 2 balls, no strikes. Swing and a miss with Cancelleri pulling the string. Count goes to 2-1.
Well, the difference between that kind of sinking fastball and the changeup from Cancelleri really just a matter of about 9 to 10 miles an hour in velocity. That one came in at 80 on the gun. Fastball's been sitting about 89, 90. He saw fastball.
But now McDonald sees this one into right field. It drops down for a base hit. Cobb hustles around and scores. Court McDonald in with the sliding double. Officially called single and an E9. But Stanford's more concerned about the R that they just put up. Now we're tied up at 2 apiece.
And that's such a great adjustment from Court McDonald. He gets fooled on the 2-0 and just swings out of his shoes. And then comes back, he gets the same pitch. He sat back on it. It was another changeup and shoots that one out into right center, or into right field down the line. That's a great piece of hitting by Court McDonald, recognizing that Cancelleri was going to double up.
So the single E9 ties up the game with Ethan Hott looking at this one low and inside for ball 1. It's funny, we just talked about how Creighton takes pride in its defense, and Ed Service in 21 years as the head coach at Creighton, his Blue Jays have actually led the Division I in fielding percentage 3 times. Of course, they commit the error. Ethan Hott flies out to right to end the inning. But Stanford evens the score. Creighton 2, Stanford 2, end of 2. Creighton and Stanford tied at 2 as we head to the top of the third inning. I'm Troy Clarity. He's Brian Brownfield, and he is the call of the third and the fourth.
Thanks, Troy. Kyle Hess will open it up for the Blue Jays. They go 9-1-2 here in the top of the third in a tie game, 2-2. 2 runs, 2 hits, and 1 error for Creighton. 2 runs, 5 hits, an error for Stanford. Matt Scott back to work, who has had the double play ball working here so far. He's already got 2 double plays turned inning-ending double plays to end the first and the second. Kind of atypical for a big strikeout guy. Kyle Hess, the lefty, who's the second baseman for Creighton, shows bunt, pulls back, and takes one down and away with a fastball at 94. 1 ball and no strikes. Hess batting at .270 on the season, 10 hits in 37 at-bats, as Matt Scott wants a new baseball. No home runs on the season for Hess. The .270 batting average is the lowest in this Creighton Blue Jays lineup. Team that comes in hitting .321. Matter of fact, everybody with enough qualifying at bats for Creighton is hitting at least .270. Kyle Hess is at the bottom of that list. Fastball at the knees for a strike. Evens the count up at 1-1.
Yeah, first in the Big East in batting average, on-base percentage, and slugging percentage. Blue Jays have gotten off on the good foot with their bats.
1-1 by Scott. Off-speed flutters in there for a strike, center cut. And now it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Really, when you go up and down the stats, Creighton is in the upper third in the NCAA or higher in just about every single statistic you can come up with. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Hess. Rolls one over, foul just past the Stanford dugout on the first base side. The only things they're not inside the top 100 in, which is about the upper third. There's 295 Division I baseball programs. Whip and walks per 9 innings, and they're just outside the top 100 in those categories. So it's been a great start to the season for Ed Service and the Blue Jays. Got them atop the Big East standings prior to conference play, as Scott delivers a 1-2. That fastball misses down and in towards the back foot of Hess. The count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Creighton off to an 11-1 start this year. That was actually their best 12-game start since 2000. A few things have happened since then.
2-2 pitch is swung on and missed. Change up on the outer half as Hess goes swinging. And that's the first strikeout of the game for Matt Scott. Comes 9 batters in.
Impressive pitching sequence from the sophomore, Matt Scott. And a terrific way to finish.
Kind of like going change up, getting one to roll over, then try to go fastball deep inside, and then go right back that change up on the outer half. Good job of pitching indeed. Here's Tate Gillen. First pitch to Gillen is a fastball, just a shade inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Gillen saw 4 pitches his first at-bat. None of them were strikes as he worked a leadoff walk. Eventually came around to score on the triple by Sailors. 2-2 our score, top of the third here on the farm. That's a strike. Fastball, good location, knee-high inside corner, and that's the first strike that Gillen has seen today. And now we're going to have another baseball change as Angel Campos comes out from behind the plate and tells Matt Scott to change baseballs. That's the second one in this half inning that's been the case, and they're actually going to add a ball to the count, say it's 2-1. So is he saying that maybe Matt Scott's doctoring the baseball in a way that's not allowed?
That's the only way I'm interpreting this.
So it's 2-1 here on Gillen, and Gillen cranks one into left center field. Hot, the center fielder was shaded towards the alley. He drifts back a few paces in front of the track, and he makes the catch for out number 2. So a bit of an odd sequence of events there, but it doesn't faze Matt Scott as he's got the first 2 retired here in the third.
And it doesn't faze Ethan Hott either, as he had trouble on a fly ball from Nolan Sailors into center field. Lost his footing, couldn't find it. By the time it was all said and done, Sailors had the RBI triple, so not able to get back in the swing of things in the field on that sequence.
Teddy Dieters makes his way to the box, and the first pitch he sees is on the outside corner for a strike. Dieters popped out to Owen Cobb for the first out of the game, back in the first.
Just the fourth first pitch strike that Scott has dealt so far, and 10 batters faced.
The 0-1 is smashed into deep left center field. Hott's not going to have a chance for that one as it one hops off the wall in deep left center field. Dieter's around first. He'll cruise into second base with a ringing double at 106 off the bat to deep left center field.
Yeah, once that ball went off the bat, you knew it was going to go a long, long way. Terrific contact by Dieters, and there was no way in the world Hott was going to be able to get to that one.
To your point, Troy, about the first pitch strikes, there haven't been a ton of them for Matt Scott, but the pitch count is only at 32. The Blue Jays have been very aggressive early in counts, even when Matt Scott is falling behind 1-0. 2-2 the score. 2 outs here in the third. And here's Nolan Sailors. Kind of a half-hearted swing as he goes around and pops that one foul to the left side. Sailors hit that ball into center field that Ethan Hott had trouble with. Lost his footing and then couldn't get up in time to make the catch. It rolled past him towards the track in center field, and Sailors motored around to third base for an RBI triple. Got the Blue Jays on the board. The 0-1 pitch is a fastball on the inside corner for a strike, and now it's 0-2. So Scott now well ahead, and now that this is the second time through the order, let's see what kind of pitch sequence he goes here with 2 strikes. Haven't seen him try to elevate the fastball a ton yet, and that's worked for him a lot this year. The 0-2 pitch, fastball elevated, but missed the spot. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
At this point, Scott's only gone to a 3-ball count one time. That was the leadoff walk to Tate Gillen to begin the game. But again, that's also a function of Creighton swinging the bats early in the counts.
Runner at second, 2 down, 2-2 the score. Look back at second by Scott. The pitch is off speed with the changeup. Tried to run it off the plate, couldn't catch it. And the count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes with Colby Canales on deck. Shaded deep in the alley in left center is Hott. He is about, I'd say, 20 to 25 steps towards the alley in left center. A lot of room out there in center and right center for Sailors to work. Here's the 2-2 pitch. That's in the air to left field towards the line. McDonald is drifting back. He's nearing the corner. He's in foul territory, and he runs out of room. Well, the way the wind is blowing here at Sunken Diamond, it's carrying from right to left, so that's directly out there towards the corner in left. And that one didn't look like it had a ton of distance off the bat, but it just kept carrying out there in the wind, and eventually the breeze took it out of the reach of Court McDonald.
Some gusts of more than 20 miles an hour. Some of the conditions that we're playing in right now. Clouds starting to thicken here a little bit. Might get a couple sprinkles or 2 before this one's said and done.
We'll do it again, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Scott from the first base side of the rubber kicks and delivers, and that one is lined down the left field line. It's a fair ball. It'll kick off the bullpen. Coming in to score is Dieters. Up to second base goes Sailors. He's in there with a slide. Second extra base hit in as many at-bats for Nolan Sailors. His second RBI of the game, and Creighton is back in front 3-2.
Boy, a terrific piece of hitting by Sailors. Opposite way, just lining it down the third baseline. Wasn't fair by much. 9 inches maybe, if that. Just enough for Creighton to take the lead.
And what's impressive, too, we look at our K-box, that pitch was out of the zone by a couple inches down and away, so he chased a ball and still got some pretty good contact on it. First pitch to Canales, misses down and away. Off speed that time with the breaking ball from Scott. And it's 1-0. So back-to-back doubles with 2 outs for Creighton here in the third. 1 to left center and 1 down the left field line. And the Blue Jays back in front 3-2. Here's the 1-0 pitch. It gets right through Malcolm Moore. Trickles behind him, and up to third base goes Nolan Sailors. As of right now, the official scoring is going to be a pass ball on Malcolm Moore. And that will put Sailors just 90 feet away now with 2 outs here in the third. Scott shifts now towards the third base side of the rubber with the righty Canales at the plate. Here's the 2-0. That's right down the middle for a called strike at 95. Creighton, a very opportunistic offense. That's how they've been so far through the 2024 season. 8 players on the team with at least 10 RBI. The 2-1 pitch, swung on and missed. A good breaking ball from Matt Scott. Well out on the front foot was Canales.
Yeah, that was filthy. Get some Windex, some Lysol, whatever you need, because that was just dirty stuff.
And Creighton already in this one 2 for 2 with runners in scoring position. Canales has an RBI single. The 2-2 pitch is cued just over the bag, or wide of the bag, I should say, at first base and foul. And that one, you were talking 9 inches on the fair ball that Sailors hit. That one was probably about 2 inches foul. And again, another one that had some really funky spin. Thought maybe that one would kick back fair at the last second, but it didn't. So we stay 2 balls and 2 strikes. Scott trying to limit the damage here in the third. Glove set at the chest, and the 2-2 pitch is swung on and missed. Challenged him with a fastball up in the zone at 96. He gets 2 strikeouts in the inning, but a couple of doubles with 2 outs produces another Creighton run, and we're halfway through the third. It's Creighton 3 and Stanford 2. We have reached the bottom of the third inning here on the farm. It's Creighton 3, Stanford 2. Troy Clarity, Brian Brownfield with you on this Saturday afternoon. Rare to say Saturday as the series opener, but with finals wrapping up here at Stanford over the past week. That's why you play a Saturday, Sunday, Monday wraparound 3-game series as Malcolm Moore leads off, and the first pitch he sees from Dominic Cancelleri is in there on the inside corner for a strike. It's 0-1.
Stanford runs on the quarter system, so winter quarter is in the book.
The 0-1 pitch, Malcolm Moore, an inside-out swing, sends one to deep left. Sailors is drifting back, and he goes into a back pedal, making the catch on the warning track in left field. So Malcolm Moore gives it a ride going the other way, but he's retired on 2 pitches, and that brings up Jimmy Nadai, the first baseman. Well, just to give you kind of an idea of how much these pitches from Dominic Cancelleri are running and how difficult it is to make contact. Yes, the velocity of that last one, 89 miles an hour, but it had 13 inches of horizontal run. The first pitch to Nadai is in there for a called strike. Home plate is 17 inches wide. So when you consider how much that pitch is moving out of the hand of Cancelleri, it's almost moving the entire length of the plate. The 0-1 pitch is lifted in the air to left center field. That's got some carry to it as Sailors is onto the warning track just in front of the 375 marker. But he makes the catch, and just like that, on 4 pitches, there are 2 outs here in the bottom of the third.
Yeah, that one certainly had a bit of pop to it. Maybe with the help of a little bit of breeze, it might have gone over the fence. Instead, falls about 6 feet short. But a couple of long fly balls here to start this inning for the Cardinals.
That'll bring up Brandon Larson, the designated hitter who's got a base hit and a stolen base so far this afternoon. He goes after the first pitch, sends one to left field again. Sailors is just in front of the track, and he's got the hat trick in the bottom of the third inning, and that's a 5-pitch inning for Dominic Cancelleri. We're through 3. Creighton still leads it 3-2. Will McLean leads it off as we've reached upstairs 4th here at Klein Field at Sunken Diamond. It's Creighton 3 and Stanford 2, game 1 of this 3-game series. McLean, Sherman, and Helixo to face Matt Scott for the second time. McLean bounced into a double play to end the first, his only at bat so far. Left-handed hitting first baseman for the Blue Jays. And Stanford will shift the infield appropriately. Scott from the windup, glove was over his face, and his first offering is a towering fly ball to shallow left. That sounds familiar as Court McDonald goes to the line, and he makes the catch for out number 1. So that is 4 consecutive fly balls to left field if you go back to the bottom of the third inning on a grand total of 6 pitches.
Yeah, not a replay, folks. Do not adjust your monitors. Don't adjust your laptops, however you're watching us from. 4 straight flyouts to left.
I'm getting real tired of writing F7 in the scorebook. Here's Matt Sherman, the third baseman, who's popped out to short. And the first pitch to Scott. He shows bunt, pulls back, and takes a strike on the outside corner from Scott. It's 0-1.
Can I write KS?
If you want to predict the future, go for it.
Okay, cool.
I'm not going to tell you no. I would take a KS right here. But you also just gave your hand. You're a KS guy for the strikeouts, huh?
Yes.
That one's low. You see, I am too. I've never been a fan of the backwards K for the strikeout looking. I go KS for swinging, KL for looking.
I just go straight K for looking.
1 ball and 1 strike on Sherman. Scott from the windup, his pitch is outside despite the frame job from Moore. So going back to that third inning, a 5-pitch inning for Dominic Cancelleri, which is his second 5-pitch inning of the season. He also did that in the 5th inning against Portland a couple of starts ago. Swing and a miss, and now it's a 2-ball, 2-strike count. In that same game, he had an 8-pitch inning and a 5-pitch inning, which came in the 5th, and it was the first 5-pitch inning by a Blue Jay since 2017. That was Jeff Albrecht against St. John's. 2-2 pitch is right there. Called strike, knee high. Troy Clarity is a mind reader.
I have my moments. What can I say? But that was just another gorgeous pitching sequence. And we've seen this from Matt from time to time throughout the afternoon. And, of course, obviously throughout his career. Just changing speeds, changing locations, and keeping hitters off balance. And that time Sherman had no idea what to think.
So 2 away for Hogan Heligso, the catcher for Creighton. First pitch is just off the edge. 1 ball, no strikes. Even a broken clock is right twice a day, right?
That's right.
I was having this conversation with somebody, I think it was last night, watching some March Madness as the 1-0's hit to shortstop, and we're going to have to put a pin in that thought, as that's a 1-2-3 inning for Matt Scott, and he ends it on a 6-3 ground out. So halfway through the 4th, it's Creighton 3 and Stanford 2. Bottom of the 4th inning here on the farm, it's Creighton 3 and Stanford 2, as the Cardinal will send Brady Reynolds, Timo Becerra, and Trevor Haskins up to the plate against Dominic Cancelleri, who has given up a couple of runs in the game and 5 hits, but he's working off of a 5-pitch third inning that saw a trio of flyouts to left field. First pitch to Reynolds is taken up and away. 1 ball, no strikes. That was pitch number 43 in the game for Cancelleri. Was a bit high through the first 2, but a 5-pitch inning, that'll help bring it back down to earth as he evens the count 1-1 on a changeup on the outside corner.
Oh, by the way, 4 straight flyouts to the outfield. F9 to end the second, and then the 3 straight F7s.
A lot of outs in the air as that one is fouled right back towards us. It's 1-2.
Good thing that screen was there.
Yeah, it is. I think you would have had to make a play on that one. I wasn't looking. I was looking down at the book. So by the time I looked up, I saw you had a handout, and that one was like right at eye level for us. But you had a couple of air outs in the first inning, 2 more in the second, as that one is fouled off just past the Creighton dugout. And then 3 more in the third. So already 7 fly ball outs for a guy who, with all of that horizontal break, you're thinking a lot of ground ball outs.
Yeah, yep.
But that just has not been the case so far for Cancelleri, but he's still getting the job done regardless. The 1-2 pitch is another one in the air to center field. Gillen moved laterally, now comes in and makes the catch in shallow center field for out number 1.
Well, the outfielders are getting in work this afternoon, that's for sure.
Good day to be an outfielder. Timo Becerra will bat next with 1 away here on the bottom of the 4th. It's 3-2 Creighton. As some nasty-looking clowns are starting to make their way in off to our right as Becerra takes a first pitch curveball low, 1 ball and no strikes.
That's generally where the weather has been moving in from much of the afternoon.
1-0 pitch. Becerra lifts one foul right side. That's going to reach the berm. 1 ball and 1 strike on Becerra, who singled to open up the second. And he was cut down on a fielder's choice. The 1-1. On the outside corner, that's a good pitch, and it's there for a strike. It's 1-2. That one almost seemed to have a little bit of cutting action as opposed to kind of that two-seam run back in towards the right-hander as Becerra fouls that one off. The count stays 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mentioned earlier that Creighton at 15-3, they are tops right now in the Big East standings heading into the weekend. 15-3, a half game up on St. John's as that one is low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. No conference games have been played yet in the Big East. That will not begin for Creighton until April 5th when they host Butler for a 3-game series. So quite the difference in conference scheduling as opposed to the Pac-12 as Becerra has now gotten the count full. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, Blue Jays picked to finish tied for 4th in the preseason poll. UConn picked to win it all.
Smash to left field, and that's a base hit for Timo Becerra. Got that one just past the outstretched glove of Ben North. And so Stanford with 6 hits so far here in the first 3 1/3 innings. They've been able to at least put some good swings together against Cancelleri.
6 base hits, all of them singles. 2 of them by Becerra. And Becerra doing a good job persisting and hanging in there and finally getting the pitch that he wanted and putting it in the left field for a base hit.
Here's Trevor Haskins with a man aboard and 1 out. Haskins a fly out to center in the second. First pitch, runner goes. It's grounded off the mound right to second base. A collision at the bag, the out there, and the throw to first in time for the double play. It's just the 4th double play turn by Creighton this year, but the hit and run didn't work as the second baseman Hess was right on the bag. He gobbled it up, took the collision from Becerra, and threw to first for the out, and the inning is over. We'll head to the 5th. Creighton leads 3-2 over Stanford in Game 1 of the series. Top of the 5th inning, it's Creighton 3, Stanford 2. Time for me to get some chicken strips. Troy, take it away.
Top of the 5th, it's the 8-9-1 batters due up for the Blue Jays, starting with Ben North, who grounded into a 5-4-3 double play to end the second. Seen our share of double plays so far in this game from both teams. A damaging one, a botched hit and run to end the last frame for the Cardinal. Scott fires a fastball down low for ball 1. Of course, this isn't the only Creighton versus the Pac-12 matchup on the calendar for today. Scott rocks, deals, takes a little something off of it, but it's fouled off, and the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. Creighton men's basketball squaring off against the Oregon Ducks in the round of 32 in the men's basketball tournament. That's going to be about a 6:40 p.m. tip-off Pacific time later today. 1 ball and 1 strike. Hit on a rope to center field. But Hahn able to make the catch for the first out.
I need Creighton to do something pretty good there because I have them in my bracket going to the national championship game.
Seriously?
Yes.
Wow.
So
you're not just saying that to placate our friends who were watching back in the 402.
No, not at all. I do have now. I have them
you
losing.
Take brackets seriously. I know
well,
that.
Seriously is a stretch. I mean, I had St. Mary's in the Elite 8, so
my bad.
Take that. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I do have them losing to UConn, but I do have them getting to the Natty. So need them to pull off a couple of dubs here.
Sprinkle starting to fall here at Sunken Diamond as Kyle Hess watches a pitch miss for ball 1. Hess struck out to start the 3rd inning. I have a feeling that folks who had North Carolina going far might be a little bit nervous right now. The Tar Heels down early in that game to Michigan State. Inside 2-0 to Hess. So Creighton versus the Pac-12 later on today. Hey, how's the Pac-12 been doing so far in the tournament?
You know, rumor has it they haven't lost.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Arizona winners over Dayton today. There's the 2-0 pitch. Misses well outside 3-0, and now we've gone from sprinkle to full-on rain. Fans are starting to react accordingly. We're grabbing towels and stuff here in the press box.
Not good for the old scorebook.
Nope. The 3-0. Floats that one in there for a called strike one to Kyle Hess. So the Pac-12 undefeated in the tournament so far. How's the SEC doing?
Not as good. I was going to say both tournaments, though. Keep that in mind.
Yes. No doubt about that. Rain falling harder. Pitch low and outside. And Hess walks. So back up to the top of the order we go. It's Tate Gillen. Gillen walked and scored in the first, flew out to center in the third. Of course, Stanford women's basketball, the win last night over Norfolk State. 2 seed over the 15 seed. They'll face Iowa State tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. at Maples Pavilion. Throw back over the first with the rain continuing to pick up intensity. Scott ready. And the first pitch showed bunt, pulled it back. It goes over, a high strike called by Angel Campos. So Stanford versus Iowa State in women's basketball tomorrow. Audie Crooks, freshman for the Cyclones. 40 points against Maryland last night on 18 of 20 shooting.
That was a performance.
It was. You know, I was in the building last night, and it didn't really register to me what was happening until relatively late in the game. But, man, just super impressive is making catches in the crowd, making big plays, laying them up and in. That was super impressive stuff. Rain continues to fall harder now. Runner going. Throw down to second, bit off the mark. And Hess is in with the stolen base.
Yeah, I mean, that performance last night was getting a lot of run on social media, and deservedly so.
Deservedly so, yes.
To get something like that where, I mean, okay, double-double in the NCAA tournament, that's one thing. A 40-point game in the NCAA tournament, that's another thing. A 40-point double-double? on 18 of 20? It's incredible.
It's bonkers. Opposite field, and McDonald had to leap and leave his feet to make the grab, but he does. 2 away. Well, it can't be easy on outfielders right now. As the rain starts to let up just a little bit, but it's still coming down at a pretty decent clip. As that brings up Teddy Dieters, who popped up the second in the first and then doubled and scored in the third. Runner at second is Hess. Misses low and away for ball one. So, yeah, Crooks was super and also impressive in her post-game press conference as well. Very engaging, very thoughtful, really neat answers. And she's just a freshman. It's just mind-blowing. The 1-0. That's a fastball down low. 2-0 now to count.
You think of the performances that we've seen here. Just the last, 6 weeks even on the women's side, with Juju Watkins putting up, 51 against Stanford in Maples, and then Crooks with that double-double in Maples. There's just something about that building, huh?
A few things have happened women's basketball-wise over the years. Nice breaking ball goes over. As Dieters thought about it, didn't pull the trigger. It goes over anyway for strike one.
Yeah, but I can't think of anything that's been bigger this season in Maples
Sure.
than a 51-point performance for Juju Watkins, right? Nothing else has happened.
That was generational. The 2-1. Scott spins off.
I don't think you picked up on my sarcasm.
I didn't.
Yeah, Tara win number 1,203.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, that was like nothing's better than 51, right? Well, Tara breaking the record was.
That's generational too.
That's yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm slow, but my work is poor too.
That's
High
okay.
and outside, 3-1.
It's raining right now, so you're off the hook.
Thank you. Rain was lightening up for a moment or so, but now it's picking up. Drops falling straight down, large and heavy, and chasing the Pooches back up to the walkways. They're trying to find cover. And
okay.
We have delay here.
Yeah, so a pitch clock violation on the batter. He was not in the box in time, so that turns a 3-1 into a 3-2.
So now it's a full count with a runner at second and 2 out. Moore setting up on the outside portion of the plate. The pitch. Fouled back. Count stays at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Angel Campos on the spot, the home plate umpire. 3 balls and 2 strikes. The pitch from Scott. Got him. Swing and a missed strike 3. Dieters hollers out to no one in particular as Matt Scott coolly and calmly strides off the mound and retires the side. 3-2 Creighton in the middle of the 5th. Bottom 5th here at Sunken Diamond, where a few hardy souls have remained in their seats, but just about everyone else has gone to take cover on the upper concourse that rings the Sunken Diamond stands. Creighton leading the Cardinal, 3-2. Troy Clarity, Brian Brownfield here with you. Owen Cobb, the bottom of the Stanford batting order to get things going for Stanford here. Cobb hit into a fielder's choice, later came around to score on a single E9 back in the 2nd inning. At that point, tied it at 2 before Creighton retook the lead. Might have just slipped out of Cancellari's hand. I can't blame him, the conditions being what they are right now. Rain appears to be letting up just a bit. 1 ball, no strikes. Fires a fastball in there, called strike 1 to Cobb. Stanford in non-conference action this weekend. The rest of the Pac-12 is in league play. Appeal to first base umpire Darrell Mason. Cobb held up. The count goes to 2-1. Cancellari steps back on the mound. High and outside. 3-1 the count to Cobb. UCLA and USC squaring off in Westwood. Bruins with a 5-0 lead in the top of the 4th. Low strike taken by Cobb, and the count full. Washington State leading Arizona State 2-0. Cougs with a big win over the Sun Devils last night in Pullman. And Oregon leading Arizona 2-0 up in Eugene, that game in the top of the 4th. Payoff pitch smacked right back to Cancellari, and he shovels it over the first himself for the out.
Yeah, the way the Pac-12 has opened up on the baseball side, kind of as we expected, I think, heading into the season. There's a log jam of teams right now. No one has really separated themselves in conference play head and shoulders above anybody else. I know we're just 2 full weekends into Pac-12 play, but you talk about the first 2 weekends, Cal and Oregon, the only teams at 4-2. Everybody else right there at 3-3.
Yep. Oregon State picked to win the conference, but still a lot of ball left to be played. Back up to the top of the order we go. It's Court McDonald showing bunt, lays it down. Cancellari has to twist around. It goes to the third baseman who makes the throw. Matt Sherman gets it there in time for the out. What a play by Matt Sherman.
Oh, that's a great play, and the degree of difficulty pretty high going with the glove on it, knowing that Court McDonald can fly down the bases. Thought maybe he'd try to go bare hand with it, but made a very quick transfer to the bare hand and the throw on the money. A good stretch by McLean over there at first base to aid the cause. You can see why the Blue Jays have one of the best defenses in the country.
It's been a calling card of Ed Service. Ethan Hott, first pitch on the outside corner for called strike one. Hott singled in the first, flew out to right in the second. Ed Service, the head coach of Creighton. That one just misses somewhere. 1-1. Last name is spelled Servivais. Just like Scott Service. There's a reason. They're related. Ed is Scott's uncle. How about that? Fouled off the fists, 1-2.
And Scott doing a heck of a job in Seattle, having taken them to the playoffs a couple years ago. Was their first playoff appearance in darn near 20 years at that point for the Mariners. And obviously Ed's been a fixture in the Big East for over 20 years as well.
Nicked back to the screen. By the way, there are two other games happening right now in Pac-12 play. Cal leading Utah top of the sixth, 1-0 over in Berkeley. They might be dodging raindrops over there too. And Oregon State hammering the Huskies 12-1 at Goss Stadium. In the top of the fourth, Oregon State with the lead, and I can hear the Beaver fans hooting and hollering from here. 1-2. Fouled that one off as well. Ed Service. Trying to lead Creighton into the turn. By the way, and I can't believe that it's taken us this long to mention this. This is the first time ever that Stanford and Creighton have met on the baseball field. Clapped to short. Up with it. And a throw to first. McLean digs it out, and the side is retired. Well, Creighton brought their gloves and at least showed that here in the bottom half of the fifth inning. Blue Jays lead Stanford 3-2. The rain has stopped. The sun is back out here at Sunken Diamond. Creighton with a 3-2 lead over the Cardinal. And Brian Brownfield has the call, the sixth and the seventh.
Thanks, Troy. The fans are starting to make their way back to their seats, where they will undoubtedly have to wipe them off before they sit down in them. After about an inning's worth of rain, back to some at least partial sunshine, and the clouds looking less threatening off to our right as they roll on in. So perhaps just a quick shower, and we're ready to go as Matt Scott will face Nolan Sailors to lead off the top of the sixth. And the first pitch is a fastball down and away, 1 ball and no strikes. Sailors has had Scott's number in this one so far. He's 2 for 2 with a couple of run-scoring extra base hits. The 1-0 is in there for a strike, off speed at 85.
RBI triple in the first that Ethan Hott maybe had a little bit of trouble trying to track at first, and then lost his footing trying to reset himself.
The 1-1 is on the inside corner for a strike as Sailors drops his bat. 1 ball and 2 strikes now. Scott, through 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. This next pitch will be pitch number 75, so he's been economical. The 1-2 is in the dirt and kicks away from Malcolm Moore. Evens the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
2 walks and 4 strikeouts for Scott, with all 4 of those strikeouts coming since the 3rd inning.
It didn't get a strikeout to the 9th man he faced. That was Kyle Hess. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And the pitch is swung on and missed, and there's strikeout number 5. A good fastball, knee high, kept it buried down in the zone. And back-to-back strikeouts now for Matt Scott if you go back to the 5th.
Oh, that was nasty stuff from Matt Scott. Man, Nolan Sailors thought he might have had the upper hand on that matchup coming in, but Matt Scott restoring order.
Brings up Colby Canales. It seems like Scott has certainly settled into a pretty strong groove here in this one after a shaky start, as that one's fouled off out of play to our right. But even though we say shaky start, you go back to that first inning when Creighton put up 2 runs on the board, and you think about how those 2 runs came to be. Both were balls that could have been caught in the outfield, resulting in extra base hits that will unfortunately inflate the ERA of Matt Scott. The 0-1 pitch is just off the edge, 1 ball and 1 strike. Hott losing his footing in center field on the triple by Sailors. And then the ball that Canales hit to right field that Reynolds went into a dive, made the catch initially, and then dropped it. And it led to 2 runs. That's low on a fastball. The count 2 balls and a strike.
And outside of the back-to-back doubles in the third, it's not necessarily like Creighton has really done a whole lot of damage against Scott.
Right, actually no hits for the Blue Jays since that the back end of the consecutive doubles by Sailors in the third. Check swing on a pitch in the dirt, and the appeal to first base to Daryl Mason says swing. So that evens the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So it's been a while since the Blue Jays have been able to really string anything together against the Game 1 starter for Stanford, who's trying to get his 4th consecutive quality start. The 2-2 offering is swung on and missed. Dropped one below the kneecaps. Swinging over the top of it was Canales. And for the first time today, Matt Scott has back-to-back strikeouts in the same inning.
A gorgeous slider from Scott, as he appears to be gaining a bit of momentum here as this game goes along. And by the way, don't forget, an inning-ending 1-6-3 double play in the first, inning-ending 5-4-3 double play for Creighton in the second. How different could things maybe have looked if not for those plays for the Blue Jays?
Here's Will McLean, the first baseman for Creighton. First pitch spiked down and in on the fastball. 1 ball and no strikes. McLean hit into one of those inning-ending double plays. That was in the first. And then he flew out to left field in the 4th inning. So he's 0 for 2. Blue Jays with 4 hits as a team. Stanford with 6. The 1-0 pitch. Good breaking ball. And a swing and a miss. Chasing it was McLean. Evens the count up at a ball and a strike.
Yeah, he's mixing it up now. Even more effectively than at any other point so far in this game.
That's what has allowed Matt Scott to pitch deep into games here for the last 3 or 4 weeks or so. Didn't go more than 5 1/3 in the month of February, but has gone at least 6 innings in every start here in March. That one's low, 2 balls and a strike. 6 innings at Rice in a win. 7 innings at Washington in a win, and a Pac-12 Pitcher of the Week award to boot. And then 6 2/3 at home against USC last weekend. Inside corner at 92 with a fastball. Evens the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You kind of forget what it looks like when a starter goes into the 7th inning these
Yeah.
days.
But Stanford, and really what has led the turnaround of the pitching staff, has been the guys atop the rotation pitching deeper and deeper into games. The 2-2 by Scott is swung on and missed. Drop third by Moore. He'll throw to first base in time, and the side is retired. 1-2-3 on all Ks from Matt Scott. He's got 7 through 6 quality innings. Stanford will try to get the bats going. In the bottom of the 6th, they trail 3-2. Both pitchers have settled in here as we've reached the bottom of the 6th inning on the farm. It's Creighton 3, Stanford 2. We have only had 1 base hit combined since the top of the 3rd inning, and that was a Timo Becerra base hit in the 4th. Other than that, a whole lot of zeros up on the board. The Cardinal will try to change that, though. Heart of the order, 3-4-5, as Malcolm Moore takes a first pitch changeup away. 1 ball and no strikes. Moore has flown out to left field twice in 2 trips to the plate. The 1-0 pitch. He's out in front on a changeup with a lot of bite to it. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike on Malcolm Moore.
Yeah, if you want to take that last half inning from Matt Scott, just clip it and keep it for a highlight reel, do it, because that was fantastic pitching.
Malcolm Moore sends a towering fly ball to left center field that will hang up long enough for Sailors and Gillen to converge before Sailors makes the catch in left field, and that's a hat trick for Malcolm Moore. He's flown out to left field 3 times. A lot of F7s in the scorebook today. And a lot of air outs for Stanford. That's now 9 fly ball outs for the Cardinal. And they have only bounced out, I got 5 bounce outs in this game. 3 of them came in the 5th. First pitch to Jimmy Natai misses low with a breaking ball. 1 ball, no strikes. It's been an interesting mix for Dominic Cancelleri. Didn't expect him to rack up the strikeouts today, and that hasn't been the case. But you got to give Stanford a lot of credit as Natai works the count to 2-0. They don't strike out a ton as a team. Their strikeout differential entering this weekend series sitting at 55 fewer strikeouts at the plate. Bouncer to short, North slides towards second, slings it across for out number 2.
Hey, ground out. I forgot what that looked like.
So North stays on his feet, makes the play, and there's 2 away for Brandon Larson. Yeah, Stanford, they're pretty good when it comes to striking guys out on the mound and not striking out a ton at the plate. They rank 2nd in the Pac-12 in strikeouts per 9 innings on the mound as Larson takes a strike. And the strikeout differential of plus 55 entering the weekend series. Cancelleri pours one in low, 1 ball and 1 strike. He's using up about 3 to 4 seconds off the pitch clock every time when he goes up there. This time he took about 8 seconds because he cleaned off the cleats on the back of the mound. It's fouled away. Now it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
He's pitching like he wants to watch a basketball game later on the
I
season.
think he does. It takes you back to the days of Mark Burley for the White Sox. And I remember in particular it was a fireworks night at the Coliseum in Oakland, and he got the start. And it was a 1 hour, 57-minute, 9-inning game. Well, he's got a strikeout of Larson to end the 6th inning, and we are cruising on in terms of pace here at Stanford. The Blue Jays lead at 3-2 as we head to the 7th. Top of inning number 7 here in Game 1 of this 3-game non-conference series between the Stanford Cardinal and the Creighton Blue Jays. Brian Brownfield alongside Troy Clarity. Creighton 3, Stanford 2. Matt Scott out there for inning number 7. He's retired 5 in a row, and 4 of those have come on strikeouts, including striking out the side in the 6th. He's got Matt Sherman, the third baseman for the Blue Jays, to open up. And the first pitch Scott deals is outside with a fastball, 1 ball and no strikes. Pitch count in good shape for Matt Scott. That was pitch number 87 of the afternoon for the right-hander. He's thrown at least 84 in every start this year. That one is smashed on a line to deep left field. McDonald is back. He leaps and he makes the catch on the warning track in left field. Over the shoulder, acrobatic, airborne was Court McDonald to take away extra bases for out number 1 in the 7th.
Court McDonald taking off. And he had a terrific jump on it the whole way. Tracked it, felt comfortable with it. You could tell as he backtracked and made the catch just on the warning track. Outstanding stuff by Court McDonald.
So put a star next to that one in the scorebook. As we kick off the 7th, here's Hogan Haligso, the catcher. He swings at the first pitch and scalds one over the leaping Timo Becerra at third and into left field for a knock. So consecutive hard-hit balls against Matt Scott. The lineout was at 99, and that one from Haligso at 101 off the bat. And the first hit for Creighton since the RBI double by Sailors in the 3rd.
We had 1 base runner during that span up until now, a walk from Hess in the 5th inning. Creighton trying to add on here.
Man on 1 out in the 7th for Ben North, who's 0 for 2. And the first pitch bunt is shown, pulled back, and the ball kicked off of, I think it might have hit our umpire, Angel Campos, and then it rolls in front of home plate. And appeal down to first base to see if North went around on the bunt. No, says the first base umpire, Daryl Mason. And holding up at first base is Heligso.
Yeah, who didn't move at all. And I'm not sure if he could track the ball himself either. And couldn't quite diagnose that Malcolm was having trouble picking out where that ball was. So maybe a fortuitous sequence there for Stanford.
1 ball and no strikes on North, who's bounced into a double play and lined out to center. The 1-0 pitch is up and away. 2 balls and no strikes. Scott has gotten the pitch count up to 115 this season. That was his last start here a couple of days ago against USC on the 15th. 115 pitches in 6 2/3. The 2-0 pitch, bunt shown again, pulled back. That one taken on the outside part of the plate for a strike. It's 2-1. And Scott going with a 2-0 breaking ball that time to get himself back in the at-bat. Troy, you've mentioned it a bunch in this one, but he really is mixing up his pitches now. 2-0, runner goes, down and in. Moore picks it, throws to second. It gets over the glove of Owen Cobb. Backing up was Haskins, but a stolen base for Hogan Jalisco, the catcher for the Blue Jays. That's his 3rd stolen base of the year.
Yeah, and then good job by Haskins. Right place, right time. Obviously, you don't necessarily want his services to be necessary in that kind of situation, but good thing he was there. Otherwise, that ball would have been heading into center field, and Heligso might still be running.
So the Blue Jays with a man in scoring position, 1 out and a 3-1 count on North. And the pitch is swung on and missed. Over the top of it, good changeup from Matt Scott. And the count now goes full 3-2 with Kyle Hess on deck.
Yeah, once the change and especially the slider have come more to the fore for Scott, that's when he's been more effective as the afternoon has gone.
3 balls, 2 strikes as Scott steps off and looks back at second base. Blue Jays 2 for 5 with runners in scoring position this afternoon. Stanford 1 for 4. Runner dancing, 3-2 pitch, lined into the glove of Scott. He's going to have a double play as he fires it to Cobb, and the inning is over. A soft line drive right at the left hip of Matt Scott. He gloved it and had plenty of time to throw back to the bag as Heligso was on his way to third. A great way to send us to stretch time on the farm. 7 strong innings for Matt Scott, but Stanford still trails it 3-2. Feeling loose and limber here on the farm post stretch. It's Creighton 3, Stanford 2. Didn't have to be that way, though, but Matt Scott and Owen Cobb turning a nice 1-4 double play on a line drive to keep Creighton off the board. They had a runner at second base and 1 out in a 3-2 count, and Matt Scott made a nice play.
Yeah, and in real time, one of my very first thoughts was that could potentially be a turning point play, one that we might have to put a pin in, obviously depending upon how this game ends up. But certainly that's the kind of play on which a game can turn in favor of the team that turns a play like that.
Brady Reynolds takes the first pitch high from Dominic Cancelleri. That was pitch number 79. Here's pitch 80. That's another changeup high. And now it's 2 balls and no strikes. You're absolutely right, Troy. This is the spot in the game where Stanford, you'd love to see him turn it around and put some pressure against Cancelleri, the 3rd time through the order. 2-0 pitch is in there for a strike on the inside part of the plate. And you got Timo Becerra on deck, who's already got a couple of hits against Cancelleri. So they've had some good swings in this one that just haven't produced many runs, as that one's lifted in the air, foul left side, and the count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. But that's what you get against a contact pitcher like Cancelleri.
Yep.
You get some good swings, you just got to be able to string enough hits together.
Yep. Be able to do something with them. Stanford, by the way, still looking for its first extra base hit of the day.
6 hits, all singles, and just 1 hit since the second inning. That was a Becerra hit in the 4th. 2-2 is inside as it bends Reynolds out of the way. And the count 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Now it appears that Cancelleri has been getting that inside corner called more often than not. That was just a straight miss on his part.
Payoff. Inside ball 4. And a leadoff walk on a great AB for Brady Reynolds. It's the first Stanford walk of the afternoon. And you want to talk about a momentum shift. it does feel like it's tilted a little bit after that double play, as there's some scurrying going on in the left field corner near the Creighton bullpen, as a left-hander is beginning to toss. He's not throwing from the mound, but he's just tossing out there, as pitch number 85 is on the way for Cancelleri. Becerra shows bunt, and he bunts it foul towards the Stanford on-deck circle, where Trevor Haskins tried to make a play.
A couple singles so far today for Timo Becerra. He has extended his hit streak to 6 games now. He would love to figure out how to get on base at the very least.
Stanford with 15 sack bunts on the year, might be number 16 right here. Cancelleri fields it up the first base line, whips it to first for the out, and Reynolds moves up to second.
Or at the very least, just do your job and move the runner over. Able to do just that.
It's part of what Coach Esker wants Stanford to do. He wants them to be a fundamentally sound baseball team. And now the thing is, you just got to be able to produce with runners in scoring position. And at times this year, Stanford has really struggled in this department.
Well, when you get younger, like Stanford did this season, you lose 9 players to the Major League Baseball draft. Stanford got a lot younger from last year to this. You need to be able to execute the fundamentals.
Here's Haskins. The first pitch he sees is taken for a strike.
So certainly that is going to and has been an extra emphasis for David Esker and Thomas Eager, the Kathy Wolf assistant coach who runs the pitching side of things. Steve Rodriguez, Andre Mercurio as well.
The 0-1 to Haskins is chopped to short. That's not going to move up Reynolds as the ball's thrown low, but picked on a backhand by McLean over at first base, and now there's 2 away for Owen Cobb.
And we've seen at times this year where the fundamentals have failed Stanford. The late going against USC, the series finale there, in which Stanford pitchers unfortunately, forgot how to field, quite honestly, and make throws over the first base. When you can't execute the fundamentals as a young team, you're going to take your lumps, and Stanford has done that at times throughout the course of the season.
Perhaps the right man to do the job is Owen Cobb. 9th place man in the order, and the first pitch is in there for a called strike. Cobb has 12 RBIs, tied with Malcolm Moore for the team lead. You don't see that too often out of your 9th place hitter, but this could be the right place at the right time for number 1. The 0-1 pitch is tapped foul, and now it's 0-2.
Cobb way in front of that one.
Cancelleri trying to keep his Blue Jays in front. Cobb trying to spoil the lead. A lifetime 281 hitter at the plate. And he's really good with 2 strikes. The 0-2 is in the dirt. Tough one to lay off, but Owen Cobb's a veteran. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Infield slightly shifted, but that's because Hess is trying to keep Reynolds close at second. The 1-2. In the air, right field line, might hang up for McLean. He's over in front of the Stanford bullpen. He makes the catch, and the inning is over. So the Cardinal get a runner in scoring position with 1 out. They do not score, and we head to the 8th. Troy Clarity will take it the rest of the way with the Blue Jays in front, 3-2.
3 runs, 5 hits, 1 error for Creighton. 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 error for Stanford as we begin the 8th inning. Troy Clarity and Brian Brownfield on the call with you here on the Stanford live stream from Sunken Diamond. Matt Scott's afternoon is done after 7 strong innings for the Stanford Cardinal. Now Trevor Moore is on the mound for Stanford. Moore, a sophomore from Golden, Colorado. The righty's numbers on the year, about to make his 9th appearance on the season, a 1-0 record and a 5.57 ERA, 21 innings pitched, 27 hits, 18 runs, 13 of them earned, 23 strikeouts versus 7 walks. Opposing batters hitting .507 against Trevor Moore. Moore got the win at Washington up in Seattle back in March 9th. He went 3 2/3 a shutout ball that afternoon against the Huskies. Scott's final line, 7 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. He gained momentum as the game went along and finished off with a dazzling 1-4 double play. Kyle Hess struck out in the 3rd, walked in the 5th. Claps this one to first base, takes a funny hop, able to recover and shovel it over to Moore for the out. Nadi hanging in there and making the play.
For anyone who had any doubts about whether Matt Scott could handle being the Friday Game 1 guy for Stanford, I think those fears have kind of been settled over the last month of the season or so. He struggled early. He had an ERA that was teetering towards 7. It was at 6.75 after 2 starts. It's now down to 3.75 after his outing today. 4 consecutive quality starts for the big right-hander.
Here's Tate Gillen, who watches the first pitch from Moore go over for strike 1. Gillen walked and scored in the first, a couple of flyouts in his plate appearances since then. Yep, Matt Scott, good start here today. Christian Lim will go for the Cardinal tomorrow, the freshman from Nashville. The 0-1. Moore tries a curve and gets the call. 0-2 to Gillen. Gillen had a big season opener at Coppin State. Then again, who didn't? As he looks at the 0-2 for Moore and hit hard off to Nadi, who blocks it, shovels it over the first. 2 away.
The only difference between that play and the one before was that one was hit a little bit harder, but the same kind of thing. It took a funny in-between hop on Nadi, but he stayed down, bodied it off his chest, angled it right down in front of him, and then flipped it to Trevor Moore covering. Working on those PFPs over there, and can we get another one? Can we get another inning where the same thing happens, 3 consecutive batters?
Well, we had 3 straight flyouts to left for Stanford in the bottom of the 3rd.
And 3 strikeouts in the 6th.
Yep, for Creighton. Nope, this one is going to go to short. And a fire of a throw from Trevor Haskins. Nadi makes the tag, and the side is retired. Infield going to work here. And Stanford will go to work in the bottom of the 8th. Creighton with a 3-2 lead. Well, if you like pitching and defense, you've loved the last few innings. 3-2 Creighton with the lead as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. A couple of changes for Creighton. Replacing Teddy Dieters in right field is Jack Tarosian. He's a junior from Omaha, Nebraska, a junior college transfer from Hutchinson, CC. And a new pitcher for the Blue Jays is Shane Curtin, a sophomore from LaGrange, Illinois. Curtin on the year, about to make his 9th appearance. A 1-0 record and a 1.93 ERA. Does have 1 save to his credit. 14 innings pitched, 14 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 18 strikeouts, 7 walks. Opposing batters hitting .255 against Curtin, who has thrown 4 wild pitches in his 14 innings worth of work. First batter he faces is Court McDonald. He throws some filthy stuff his way. Looks like it was a bit of a screwball towards McDonald. A couple of singles for McDonald, 1 in the 1st, 1 in the 2nd. Curtin, a lefty, deals again. That one starts low, stays low, and also ends up outside. 1 ball and 1 strike to Court McDonald from Shane Curtin. A 1-1. McDonald times this one, but hits it on the ground to Hess. 1 away.
One of the things that makes Creighton such a unique pitching staff is their ability to throw left-handed arms in waves at you, especially out of the bullpen. When you look at pitchers on this team, 8 of the 19 pitchers for Creighton, so just about half of them, are lefties. And when you have a Stanford top of the order that features, 4 lefties out of the first 6 hitters, that's an advantage to Creighton.
Yep. Ethan Hott, a righty, waves at the first pitch he sees for strike 1. Hott singled in the 1st. Curtin's last outing before today was against the USF Dons on Sunday through 2 2/3 scoreless. Swing through there from Hott, strike 2. Curtin got the win against the Dons that day. Scattered just a couple of hits, walked 3, but struck out 3 along the way. The 0-2. Low and outside to Hot. 1-2 to Ethan. Creighton just 7 appearances last year for the Blue Jays. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch. Foul tip into the glove. Strike 3. Well, and already you can tell there's a lot of movement on these pitches from Creighton.
We were talking about it earlier with Cancelleri. He had some pitches that were 13, 14 inches of break. That changeup from Creighton had 18 inches of horizontal break.
Is this thing broken?
I don't think so. That's the width of the plate and an inch. Filth.
Malcolm Moore has flied out to left in the first, the third, and the sixth. We'll try to do something different here and get on base in one fell swoop. A 1-0. Starts outside, stays outside. 2-0 to Moore. Moore with a 3-run homer against UNLV last month. Also walked with the bases loaded. Hit home runs in back-to-back games up in Seattle against the Huskies a couple weekends ago. The 2-0. Inside. Thought that might nick Moore as it came out of Creighton's hand. Instead, it's 3-0. That one's right down the middle. Moore taking all the way, 3-1. Stanford has not had the lead in this game. They did tie it at 2 after 2. The 3-1 on the way from Creighton. And Moore just a little bit ahead of that one as it heads towards the on-deck circle. Running the count full, 3-2. Creighton has had the lead since the top half of the third. It's been 3-2 since then. Here we are in the bottom of the 8th. The pitch from Creighton. Bounces, goes about 57 feet. And Malcolm Moore heads 90 feet with the base on balls. Game-tying run is on the base paths. Jimmy Nadai, a sac fly RBI in the first, flew out to left in the third, grounded to short in the sixth. Nadai began the season with a 10-game hit streak, hitting .474 during that span. He's from Sydney, Australia, which explains the men at work as his walk-up music. Stays inside, 1 ball, no strikes, but Jimmy moved to Atlanta in 2010, and he began playing baseball there. Runner at first is Moore. 1 ball, no strikes. Waves at that one, way in front of it, 1-1. A 1-1 pitch from Creighton. Inside corner gets the call.
Well, Nadai leads the team in extra base hits. You've said it earlier today, Troy. We've also talked a lot. Stanford, no extra base hits in the game. Might be a good time for a match made in heaven.
That's a curve from Creighton that stays outside, 2-2. All kinds of break on these pitches from Creighton. The 2-2 pitch. Thought about it, went around, strike 3. And we head to the top of the 9th with Creighton still ahead 3-2. Well, here we go, top of the 9th inning. Creighton with a 3-2 lead over Stanford, the first game of this 3-game set. Non-conference action with the Blue Jays coming west and the Cardinal hosting Creighton. Trying to keep it a 3-2 ball game and take matters into their own hands here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Right now, the Blue Jays sending their 3-4-5 batters to the plate. Nolan Sailors with a couple of RBI hits so far today. Looks the first pitch strike from Trevor Moore. RBI triple in the first, RBI double in the third for Sailors. Moore deals again. Did that go around? It is ball one. Moore. Ready. Curve upstairs, 2-1. This is the first ever meeting between Stanford and Creighton on the baseball diamond, but Stanford has played in Creighton's home stadium many times.
Yep.
The 2-1. Fastball doesn't get the outside corner call, goes to 3-1. Creighton plays at Charles Schwab Field, which of course is the home of the Men's College World Series, where Stanford has been the last 3 years. The 3-1. In front of that one, taps it foul.
You ever been to Omaha?
I have. I was born in Omaha, actually.
All right, the more you know.
So yeah, I've been there. Spent the first 4 years of my life there. I haven't been back there since I went back with Stanford in the '97 College World Series, which was a lot of fun during the Kyle Peterson days. The 3-2 pitch. On a high hop that eats up Nadai, tries to find it and shovel it to Moore in time, but he doesn't get it there. Sailors safe at first with the base hit. That last hop just engulfed Nadai.
He has seen some tricky ones over there, and you go back to the last inning, the eighth, where that was the case. But he was at least able to body him up. They went off his chest. That one kicked to the side and hit high off his left shoulder. I mean, there's nothing he could do about that one to stop. He did everything he could, and it popped up and landed right in his mitt, but just a tough break.
He actually had a chance to make a closer play at it than he probably had any real reason to make. So he had to make more like a hockey goalie there. Pinch hitter for Colby Canales in the DH spot and the 4 spot for Creighton. It's Jack Grace, grad student from LaGrange, Illinois. All Big East second team last year. Facing the first pitch, Grace shows bunt, doesn't go for it. It's ball one. Grace hitting .333 on the season with 1 home run and 5 RBI. He actually got his first career home run right here in the Bay Area when Creighton was at San Jose State in the 2020 season. Throw back over the first. Grace, a grad student, but he's been in this program since day one in his collegiate career. 1 ball and no strikes. And it's fouled back into Malcolm Moore's hand. 1-1. Grace entered the transfer portal after the 2021 season, but returned to Creighton. He actually thought about hanging it up after last season before teammates convinced him to run it back for this season. And he said before the season began, he said, quote, "Ultimately, I decided I'd much rather be playing baseball than working a desk job right about now."
I think a lot of people would.
Amen to that. Hey, keep playing as long as you can, right?
You never know what can happen. That's the one thing about baseball is you can make a long career out of it, even if you're not necessarily advancing very far, but you can play for a long, long time.
Yeah. 1-1. Bounces. Moore's able to block it. 2-1. And even Jack has made more contributions through his part of his Creighton career than this name I'm about to bring up. But Alberto Rios didn't do a whole lot his first few years in the Stanford program, but when he got his one chance at it, he made the most of it. Was Pac-12 Player of the Year. So hey, you hang in there. Who knows what can happen? The 2-1. Fly ball, twisting foul, and landing in the front of the Stanford bullpen. Strike 2. So hey, keep playing until you can't come back anymore. Two and two. Runner at first. Creighton looking for insurance. Stanford trying to keep it a one-run game. The pitch, curve, swing, and a miss. But the throw, not in time as Malcolm Moore had the ball slip out of his hand. So Gray strikes out, but Sailors advances over to second. And that ball just went backwards out of Moore's hand.
You don't often see a throw go in the opposite direction, but Moore just didn't have a grip. He knew he had to get up from behind the crouch and really get that thing out there quickly to nail Sailors, but he did not have a chance and didn't get the grip, and that's why the ball fell right behind his shoulder.
So one out, but now a runner in scoring position for the Blue Jays. Popped up, but this is headed into the stands off to our left. For those of you who aren't familiar with Sunken Diamond, there is a lot of foul room. It's probably the defining physical characteristic of this ballpark, and it can be a pitcher's friend. It can also be a catcher's nightmare on wild pitches. The 0-1. Moore tried to frame it, but doesn't get the call. 1-1. McLean grounded into a 1-6-3 double play to end the first. Was flown out to left and struck out swinging in the sixth. One ball and one strike. Moore with the toss. Back to second. Haskins able to handle it. One and one. In front of it. One ball and two strikes. McLean reached base safely in 33 straight games last year. This is his final season at UMass. The 1-2 pitch. Floats a breaking ball, but somehow misses, maybe just a bit low. 2-2. Runner at second. And the 2-2 pitch on the way. And it hit him. McLean trying to shake it off, trying to suck it up a little bit as he walks over to first base. And now there are two on board for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, the most painful way right there. You take one right off the hands, the knuckles, wherever that exactly got him. But, that's one where it can take a long time. If it got you in the wrong spot, it can take a long time to heal. But now an interesting thing. Coach Esker came out, asked Angel Campos to bring the umpires together. They want to see whether or not McLean made an effort to get out of the way, and they're going to take this to review.
Yeah, they're going to go over and take a closer look at things.
And remember, if they say he didn't make an effort to get out of the way, that's strike three.
Yes, yep.
So this is potentially a big call in this game.
So either strike three and out number two, or runners at first and second with one out for Creighton. That's what's at stake here. As of right now, McLean standing at first after being hit by the pitch. Nolan Sailors with the leadoff single. Later stole second. That's how this top half of the ninth inning has gone so far.
I'll say, Troy, I didn't think he made an effort to get out of the way, but effort is subjective, and whatever the umpiring crew determines enough of a flinch or whatever to try and get out of the way, then he'll keep first base.
And plus, I'm not exactly sure how closely and how finely they can break things down, if they can go frame by frame, because if you can do that, certainly you can all of a sudden see some things that you might not have normally seen, either right or wrong, if you break it down to its finest compound. 3-2 Creighton with the lead. Stanford trying to keep it that way here in the top half of the 9th inning. Officials taking a closer look to see if Will McLean got out of the way of a pitch or not. By the way, a reminder, even though it is Saturday, this is the first game of this series. Game 2 tomorrow at 1 p.m. Game 3 on Monday at 11 a.m.
You'll be there for that one, right? Bright and early?
I will, bright and early. After what could be a late night at Maples Pavilion the night before with Stanford women's basketball. Might need to roll out a cot here at Sunken or something like that for Sunday night. Officials have seen what umpires rather have seen what they have needed to see. And the call stands. So McLean remains at first. Thomas Eager, the Kathy Wolf assistant coach, also in charge of pitching, up and out of the Stanford dugout to have a chat. I don't think there was any action in the Stanford bullpen. It's just making sure that Trevor's okay, number one, and probably getting everyone on the same page here, perhaps defensively.
Yeah, you never know what Creighton's going to try and do here in this situation with 1 out, 2 on. We've already seen them be, or at least try to be, aggressive on the base paths and send some runners at times. And remember, Stanford did struggle with the stolen bases against USC. They allowed 10 in that 3-game series. So, yeah, it might be a little risky to try and put maybe a hit and run on or something with a guy at second base in a 1-run game of the 9th, but you never know. I mean, Creighton is an aggressive offense. They attack early in counts, and they put a lot of balls in play. So I think certainly the playbook is wide open, and I think that's part of that conversation right there, just making sure battery and infield all on the same page.
Well, Matt Sherman leading the Blue Jays in batting average coming into the day. Still looking for his first base hit this afternoon. He was robbed of one by a leaping catch by Court McDonald to begin the top of the 7th inning. It ended with a 1-4 line-out double play. Swing and a miss. Good breaking ball there from Trevor Moore. Sherman transferred after 4 years at the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh. Gosh. That goes over. 0-2.
Oh, thank you for doing that.
I had to. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry at all. That was great. Because that's exactly where my mind went to.
2 on, 1 out, 0-2 to Sherman. The pitch. Tagged to center. Will stay in the park. Hott goes over a few steps to his right, makes the grab. 2 away, and everyone on the base path stays put.
Nice recovery there for Trevor Moore, even though the fastball was elevated, but he didn't lose his composure after hitting McLean, putting a couple of guys on here in a very close ball game. These are the situations that Coach Esker, Coach Eager, everybody wants to see these pitchers really develop and grow into these late inning, high leverage roles. And Trevor Moore, after a 1-2-3 8th, he's got a high leverage one here in the 9th, but so far seems to be doing all right.
Moore, the sophomore, dealing to Hogan Heligso, the junior. And that goes over for a called strike 1. Heligso reached on an error by Matt Scott. And in the 7th inning, got on board via a single. The 0-1 pitch. Lifted to center, slicing away from Hott, dives and makes the grab. That was Hott. Ethan Hott with the diving grab to save a potential insurance run for Creighton. And it's still a 1-run game as we head to the bottom of the 9th. Blue Jays 3, Cardinal 2. Bottom of the 9th in just a moment. Creighton 3, Stanford 2. A crucial diving grab by Ethan Hott to prevent a big inning for Creighton in the top half of the 9th. Sets the stage for Stanford here in the bottom of the 9th. And we begin with a pinch hitter. It's Charlie Somm batting for Brandon Larson. Somm, the junior from Thousand Oaks, California. Swings and misses at the first pitch from Curtin for strike 1. Som on the year batting .211 with 2 home runs and 4 RBI. He had a pinch hit home run against USC on Sunday. Might have been thinking about that as he swung and missed there, and he's down quickly 0-2. Charlie Som, you might remember his brother Jake played for UCLA, so I'm sure that home run against USC on Sunday got extra bonus points in the Som household. The 0-2. Thought about it, held up. Pitch also may have missed it just a little bit low. Count goes to 1-2.
Tough spot for Som to come into with the way Creighton has been pitching. The Cardinal did not look comfortable in the 8th against the left-hander. A lot of changeups fluttering out of the zone.
That one well outside, 2-2. Jake Sapien in the on-deck circle. The 2-2. Got him. Swing and a miss, strike 3. That brings up Jake Sapien. Sapien, a junior from Atwater, California. 250, no home runs, 3 RBI on the season so far. Sapien with big hits last year. That one goes upstairs and outside for ball 1. Jake was hit in the face by a pitch during the postseason last year. That ended his 2023 campaign. It was a scary moment. A 1-0. Misses outside. 2-0 to Sapien. Creighton with the save at Coppin State back on February 18th. He deals the 2-0. Not even close, 3-0. Bat hasn't left Sapien's shoulder so far in this plate appearance. Outside corner called, 3-1. Timo Becerra is on deck for the Cardinal. He has 2 singles this afternoon. The 3-1. Thought about it. Misses just a bit high and just a touch outside. Tying run is aboard. Sapien coaxes the walk. Pinch runner coming on for Sapien. It's Brett Blair, junior from Gainesville, Florida. Meanwhile, the Creighton infield, or at least a few members of them anyway, as well as the battery, having a couple words. The corner infielders, along with catcher Hogan Helixo, all getting their stories straight, comparing notes, seeing which way they want to go going forward from here. And Timo Becerra comes up to the plate. Brett Blair pinch running at first. Blocked by Helixo. A 1-0 pitch. Floats it right in there. Creighton evens out the count, 1 apiece.
Seems like every time Creighton has struggled to find fastball command, all he does is come back with 1 changeup, and he's got it again.
Fastball. Becerra's ruled not to have gone over. Count goes to 2-1. Hit to center. Gillen, a long way to go, and he won't get there. Drops down in front of him, and Timo Becerra has his 3rd base hit today. Tying run now 180 feet away. And here comes Trevor Haskins.
Right off the end of the bat, Cardinal have been out in front on a lot of changeups that Creighton has thrown. They just haven't been able to make enough contact. That time, Becerra able to drop one into shallow center field for the 7th Stanford single of the afternoon, but they're going to need at least one more single to potentially tie this game up, or you never know, first extra base hit of the day, and we could be going home very happy.
That's the first base hit for Stanford since the 4th inning, by the way. As Trevor Haskins steps into the box. Haskins with a couple of ground outs, grounded into a 4-3 double play to end the 4th. Haskins, of course, the walk-off RBI single to beat Texas State in the NCAA regional final last year. What a great moment that was. 1-0. The pitch. Swing and a miss on the change. 1-1. That Texas State series was actually in 2022. Still one of the greatest games I've ever seen here at Sunken Diamond. That was just fantastic stuff. The 1-1. Crossed him up again, 1-2.
Again, going off speed. Stanford out in front on those. And it's so hard to differentiate out of the hand when you have a sinking fastball like Creighton does between that and the change.
The 1-2 pitch doesn't come. Brett Blair pinch running at second for Jake Sapien, who walked. Timo Becerra at first with the single. The 1-2 pitch. Bounces. Helixo is able to find it, and Blair scampers back to second.
Well, he almost got caught out there in between. He hesitated for a slight second and then gave it everything he had to try and get back to the bag. Fortunately, Helixo did not elect to throw.
The 2-2. On a couple of hops to third, throw to second for one, throw to first in time for the out, and that's your ball game. A 5-4-3 double play decides it, and Creighton wins the first game of this series as the Blue Jays take the lead in the top half of the third, and it holds on from there. The final score here from Sunken Diamond, Creighton 3, Stanford 2. Creighton with 3 runs, 6 hits, and 1 error. Stanford with 2 runs, 7 hits, and 1 error. A game that early on we thought might be a high-scoring game, settled down with both starting pitchers, Dominic Cancelleri, who gets the win here today, and Matt Scott, who gets the loss for the Cardinal, settling things down. Fantastic defense. Some plays late in this game that went in Stanford's favor that we thought might be turning point plays, as a leaping grab to start the 7th inning by Court McDonald, robbing Matt Sherman of a base hit. That certainly would have been of the extra base variety. And a line out right back to Matt Scott for a 1-4 double play to end that 7th inning. Plus a diving grab by Ethan Houghton center to end the 9th. You think, man, all these plays are going Stanford's way. Can they take advantage? They get the go-ahead run, the game-winning run on base, but can't push them across. And Stanford has dropped back-to-back games.
And sometimes that's just how the game of baseball is played, right? I mean, so many good things to look at in this game to start from Matt Scott, who's really settled into that top of the rotation slot that Stanford needed somebody to fill, and Matt Scott has done just that. Some dazzling defensive plays like you highlighted, Troy. And again, Stanford getting opportunities. They just haven't been able to break through to that next level where they're opportunistic and taking advantage of those. At some point, you feel the law of averages, it's going to swing, and Stanford will start to break through on a lot of those to kind of balance it out. But just to where we're at in this point in the season with Stanford now dropping to 9-10, it just has not been there. But credit Creighton. I mean, they played with a lot of fire today. This is a big series for them to prove that they're 15-3 now, 16-3 start to the season is not just smoke and mirrors, that they are actually a legitimate team that has aspirations of getting, well, I was going to say going to Omaha, but that's where they play. So, of being able to play postseason baseball in their stadium. And a win here today in Game 1 of the series is a good way for them to start.
Nolan Saylor is a big reason why the Blue Jays ended up in the win column, an RBI triple in the first, and what proved to be the go-ahead RBI double in the third inning to put Creighton ahead 3-2 at that point. That was all the scoring completed in this game. Court McDonald went 2 for 4 on the afternoon, as Timo Becerra also went 3 for 3. But it's Creighton 3-2 winners. Cancelleri now 5-0 on the season. Shane Curtin with his second save of the year. Matt Scott with the loss. He falls to 2-4 on the season despite throwing 7 strong innings. Is certainly stronger as the game went along. Time of the game today, 2 hours and 26 minutes. Game 2, Stanford and Creighton tomorrow here at Sunken Diamond. First pitch at 1 p.m. Can Creighton take the series, or can Stanford get the split in the first 2? Let's all find out together right here on Stanford Livestream. On behalf of our fantastic crew, my broadcast partner Brian Brownfield, I'm Troy Clarity. Thank you again for joining us here from Sunken Diamond. Final score, Creighton 3, Stanford 2. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and go Stanford.